Negative side effects or consequences of losing weight or going on a health journey. If we've not met before, my name's Mona and I'm losing weight with the GLP-1 medication. I've lost 14 stone so far and there's been so many wonderful achievements, non-scale victories. I'm so happy. But there's also some negative things that can exist along the way. And so this is just to explore some of those things and to just think about maybe some ways that we can prevent it or manage it if it does happen. And also as well, maybe it's just a way to feel if it's happening to you that you're not alone. It is something that unfortunately can happen. So the first thing is hair loss or hair thinning. Now that is associated with weight loss. It doesn't matter how you're doing it. And it's essentially when you're cutting your calories, however you're doing that, your body kind of maybe panics a little bit and focuses on sending the fuel that it is getting to things that it considers needed to keep you alive. And things like hair is not necessarily something that is needed to keep you alive. So things that you can do to try and manage that is thinking about the nutrition that you're getting and making sure that you're getting all the nutrients you need and what you are able to eat. You can also look at supplements. I'm not here to sell you any particular type of supplement. I would say talk to a pharmacist or a registered dietitian or your doctor. There's mixed information about what supplements work and if they're helpful. So talk to somebody who's actually trained in that, but sometimes that can help. The important thing to know about that is that it will resolve over time. So though it might be unpleasant in the short term, for the vast majority of people, it will resolve in the long term. It's also worth noting as well that when you're losing weight, it's quite stressful for your body. So that additional stress can occasionally cause alopecia. So again, talk to a medical professional. And if it is getting bad and you do need a formal diagnosis, clearly go down that route. But for the vast majority of people, look at your nutrition, talk to somebody who knows about supplements to see if that's suitable. And over time, it will resolve. And the second thing is, not everyone is going to be happy for you, and that can be for a number of reasons. It can be about jealousy, it can just be about judgment. It can also be as well sometimes being overweight or fat. That's a word I use to describe myself, can become part of your identity. And even if you haven't decided it's part of your identity, others can apply that to understanding who you are. So you could be, for example, the fat, funny one in your group of friends. And even you could even reinforce that. Sometimes you might feel that you like that. And that's certainly how I felt before. And suddenly when that changes, not everybody is going to love it. And some of it is also as well because it's change for the people around you. And although we always hope that the people we care about are going to be supportive and welcoming of change that we are wanting, it doesn't always work like that. So just be aware if you are having negative reactions, and that can come directly, but it can also be indirectly. So people being critical of what you're doing, the choices you're making, giving you backhanded compliments, and even starting to say things like you shouldn't lose any more weight or you're starting to look too skinny. So just be really mindful. That's not about you, that's about them. One thing that can really help navigate that is therapy. We often think if we lose weight or get healthy, we're going to feel better about ourselves. But sometimes it's not always about the weight. And sometimes it's more about where we've been placed in our local community, where we've been placed in society. And sometimes in order to feel better about ourselves and be able to manage and bat away when everybody is not so supportive, therapy is sometimes the answer. The other thing to note as well is that sometimes you can get more aches and pains. So that's generally in two situations. Either if you started doing exercise and you're not used to exercise, you might find that you are getting more aches and pains than you used to. And that's just because your body is moving more, you're using more muscles than you usually would. What can happen as well, though, is when you've lost significant weight, actually your centre of gravity can change. And particularly if you're starting at a higher point, you could actually be walking differently. And again, that can cause some aches and pains. So go and speak to a medical professional, so a doctor, even a pharmacist or a physiotherapist, just to talk through and make sure that there's nothing serious going on. But although weight loss can help with aches and pains, sometimes also as well, it can result in new aches and pains or even an exacerbation of aches and pains that we have always had. And the final thing to note is even if we lose weight, we don't necessarily automatically feel better about our body because as I mentioned earlier, it's not about necessarily the size that we are, it's about how we feel about ourselves. And sometimes we think if we get smaller or we fit into a certain size or the scale says something, that's going to resolve lots of things. Now, don't get me wrong, it absolutely can resolve some things, but how we feel about ourselves is not necessarily one of them. So again, therapy can be a great solution to kind of figure out who you are, what it means to lose weight, why you're trying to lose weight, and also deal with the challenge of losing weight, because it's hard, particularly if you've been large your whole life, to find that you're changing in terms of how you look and sometimes how people treat you. That's a lot to manage. It's also worth noting as well, and I've definitely experienced it, maybe not this time, but in previous attempts, is the more that I lose, the more fixated I become on certain aspects of my body. So overall, I might be happy that I'm losing weight, but of course, with weight loss, you can't control where that weight comes from. So you may be losing bits that you like. Maybe if you're a woman, your boobs or your ass, or maybe if you're a man, I don't know, your arms or your ass, because you can't control when you lose weight where it comes off. So you might be losing bits that you did like before, and you might also not be happy. Maybe there's bits that stick out that you either didn't see before or are suddenly not proportionate because weight loss is uneven. So I know it's really easy to become hyperfixated on certain parts of your body in a way that maybe you weren't necessarily before. So again, therapy is a great way to explore that. And then the final thing, it's really, really, really easy to become hyperfixated on whatever weight loss diet, if you want to call it that, you're doing. So you can become obsessed with weighing stuff, calories, whatever it is, macros, how much protein you're getting, be really, 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 really conscious of how much water you're drinking. And although it's great that you're making good choices and you're using guidance in order to kind of achieve the success that you want, as well as hopefully doing that in a way that manages and ensures you have all your nutrition, it's also really, really, really easy to become hyperfixated. And again, talking about that with a professional like a therapist can be a good way to go.